Today I want to talk about where true power and real expansion actually begin. And it's not in strategies, not in making the right decision, not even in confidence, but in the heart, in the ability to open, to feel, to move through pain and not shut down afterward. Because love is not a romantic story, it's the energy of life. And the way we relate to it determines the depth of our experience. Recently, I met a woman who is so afraid of pain that she no longer allows herself to love or be loved. And she isn't cold, she isn't indifferent, she simply went through such a deep heartbreak once that now she chooses safety over depth. And she said something that stayed with me. If I fall in love like that again, I don't think I will survive it. And I understand her very well, because I've been there. There was a time when I closed my heart too and closed it to love, and with that I cut myself off from my potential, from expansion, from joy, from aliveness, from the taste of life itself. And that's what I want to talk about today. My heart was closed for many years. It was wounded, burnout, exhausted. I remember one period of my life very clearly. I was in so much pain that I literally dismantled my entire reality. I quit my job. I moved out of my apartment. I applied for a visa to India. I chose an ashram and I was almost on the plane. Believe me, I didn't know what to do with my life anymore. Why live if love can destroy you like that? It felt like a total collapse, not just of a relationship, but of meaning itself. I was terrified. And the most alarming part, I wasn't thinking about money at all, not about how I would live, not about stability. It was as if, in the face of deep emotional pain, everything material simply stopped mattering. I believe that if love collapses, everything collapses. Now I understand how dangerous that state was. I could have ended up without resources, without support, without ground beneath my feet. And yes, life caught me. A friend offered me a place to stay, an interesting job appeared almost immediately, but the fear remained. The fear of losing myself in love again. And that's why later I chose safety. I told myself, I don't want a man I will love deeply. I want someone reliable. Let him love me more. And I had relationships like this. Twice, 2 years each. I cared. I invested. I was attentive. I did everything right. But when we broke up, he said the most honest and painful sentence. I feel like you don't love me. And I didn't want to hear it because I had chosen him consciously, with my head, rationally. And I cared, I showed up, I invested for 2 full years. But the truth cannot be hidden. Not from him and not from myself. With time, I admitted it to myself. I saw what I had been avoiding. Yes, my soul hadn't chosen him. And there was a quiet feeling inside me, as if I were living behind glass. I loved my life a lot, but something much more alive was happening on the other side. And at some point I realized I refused to live behind glass. The fear of going through pain was huge, but the fear of not living my life fully became even bigger. And on that scale, there were only 2 options. Not truly live at all, or take the risk and have a chance. And when that became clear, I chose. At that moment, I stepped onto the path of Tantra. I began rebuilding my connection with my body, with my breath, with sensation, with energy, with my inner strength, with my intuition. I started learning how to stay with my feelings instead of escaping into my mind. And it was there that I realized something very important. Love expands consciousness. And when consciousness expands, all structures begin to fall apart. The collapse of those old structures feels like pain. So pain is not an inevitable companion of love, but love often initiates processes that we experience as pain. Love itself doesn't cause pain, but love opens us enough to finally face the pain that was already there. It brings up fears, attachment, expectations, the need of control. And if a person feels no pain at all, very often it means they are simply closed, because aliveness and sensitivity go together. Mature love is when you can feel deeply without losing yourself. And then pain is no longer destruction, it becomes a wave. When we talk about love, we often think it's about one specific person, but love is a vibration. It's a frequency of energy. It's a feeling that we generate ourselves. We can feel love for coffee, for children, for nature, for dance, for music. And it's not because the things give it to us. It's because we open it. And if we want to learn how to love, we must learn to cultivate that frequency within ourselves, to develop love for the world, for life, for ourselves. Because when we believe we love only because of another person, we become dependent. But when we understand that love is our own capacity, we become free. And there is something else that is very important. Don't dramatize love. And don't dramatize the person you fall in love with. Much of what we believe love should look like has been shaped by movies, fairy tales, romantic culture, and marketing. Yeah. We are shown love as catastrophe, as obsession, as losing yourself, and as he's my whole world. Yeah. But love is energy. It's neutral. It's incredibly powerful, but it's neutral. And when this energy moves through your heart, it amplifies what is already here. If your heart carries old wounds, illusions, fear of abandonment, a desperate need to be chosen at any cost, this neutral energy becomes distorted. And we experience pain. But love itself is not pain. Love is the energy of life. And when we connect to it, we feel alive. That's why people in love seem radiant, bright, full of joy. But the reason is not the special person. The reason is that their heart has opened. And through that opening, life begins to flow. And we can open our heart and feel that the same aliveness without making another person the source of it. Because the source is within us. And the opposite is also true. When the energy of love is blocked, life is grey, flat, sometimes meaningless. Yeah. We come into this world open and pure. Look at the children. They are naturally channels of love. Then trauma happens. We adapt to society, to family expectations, to culture. Distortions appear. False beliefs form, fear settle in, and when the neutral energy of love enters our hearts, we perceive it through those distortions. And sometimes it hurts so much that we simply shut down. Sometimes we shut down so deeply that we don't want to feel it at all. But the problem is not love. The problem is how much unprocessed pain and illusions we carry in our heart. If you feel not fully alive, if life sometimes feels grey and meaningless, if you avoid love or avoid pain, it's time to look at the heart. Let go of romantic illusions, stop feeding the drama, and begin to open gently. There are practices, there is a path. Healing begins with tenderness toward yourself, giving yourself love, allowing yourself to receive love, sharing it, noticing what thoughts, triggers, and suffering arise, and not running away, staying, exploring, feeling, and releasing. Holding every need to be loved and to be chosen, to be valued, with compassion inside yourself. This is courageous work, to stay clear, not to fall into illusions, not to close. And at the end of this path, you discover something powerful. Yeah, the mastery of love. When someone enters your life and your heart begins to move around them, it's an invitation into life itself. A love is not given to us only for happiness, it's given for awakening. When we are close to someone who truly touches our heart, the deepest parts of us begin to rise, and often it's not only joy. Fear of abandonment arises, fear of not being enough, fear of not being chosen, fear of losing control, jealousy, attachment, expectations. And in that moment, it's very easy to say, this person is hurting me. But if you pause, if you slow down, you may see something different. They are not creating the pain. They are revealing it. A partner is a mirror. They reflect not only our light, but also the parts we don't want to see. That's why the most painful situations happen where the heart is open. Because only in openness does what was deeply hidden begin to surface. And if in that moment you don't run, don't blame, don't close, don't dramatize, but stay with yourself and ask, what is hurting me right now? What illusion is being shattered? What need am I trying to feel through another person? Where am I abandoning myself? Then pain becomes a process of self-discovery. Every conflict is not the end, it's an invitation. An invitation to become more honest, deeper, more mature. I began to see a very clear pattern in my life. You open your heart, you become vulnerable. When you become vulnerable, fear rises. When fear rises, illusions collapse. When illusions collapse, it hurts. And here the key moment. If you close at that point, the spiral breaks. But if you stay, healing begins. Healing is when false ideas burn away about yourself, about love, about how someone should be. And after that burning comes expansion. Expansion means you no longer react the same way. You become steadier, calmer, wider. And this expansion is not only about relationships. So through an open heart, vulnerability, and conscious pain, we expand in every area we focus on. If your focus is money, you become able to hold more responsibility and risk. If your focus is your mission, you show up more boldly. If your focus is creativity, you are no longer afraid to be seen, because the heart is a center of capacity. The size of your vessel of love determines the size of your life. Each turn of the spiral makes you bigger. You open your heart wider, the pain may go deeper, but the expansion becomes greater. This is not a pendulum, it's a movement upward. And this is where true power begins. And maybe the most important thing I want to say today is this. Love is not an event. It is a state. And it's not a person, it's a frequency. And if your heart moved today, it's not because the one is somewhere out there, it's because you are ready to become wider. Don't be afraid of pain, but don't chase it either. Don't dramatize love, but don't close yourself to it. Be honest. If your heart is closed, don't force it open. Open it gently. If pain rises, don't run. Stay. Ask yourself, what in me wants to heal? What illusion is burning away? What new version of me is being born? Remember, every time you choose openness over control, you grow. Every time you move through pain consciously, you expand. Every time you stop making another person is the source of your love, you reclaim your power. A real scale begins in the heart. Not in strategy, not in money, not in status, but in the ability to feel and still remain yourself. And when you learn to carry love as pure life energy without distorting it through fear and illusion, you don't just gain relationships, you gain the art of living. You become someone who can love without losing yourself, feel without collapsing, expand without fear, and then life is no longer gray, it becomes alive, deep, real. If this conversation resonates with you, if you feel ready to go deeper, subscribe to this channel, and here I will speak about the heart, about expansion, about real scale that is born from within. And if you feel ready to open deeper, if you feel sense that your heart is a little close or maybe already moving but you're afraid to go further, I left a gentle heart opening practice in the description below. It may be your first step into a deeper experience, a wider life, and a more alive connection with yourself. And remember, love doesn't destroy, it reveals. Thank you.